Today's episode is actually a deeply personal and thought-provoking one. I'm joined by somebody whose success story isn't just about what he's accomplished, but really about who he's become along the way. So my guest is Mr. Steven Bowman, and his journey is a reminder that true achievement often starts on the inside. So if ever you've looked around at your achievements and still felt like something was missing or longed to redefine success in a way that truly fits, you'll find resonance and wisdom in what Steven has to say, I guarantee it. I'm Bella St. John. Welcome to Inspired to Achieve. Welcome, Mr. Bowman.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I always love our time together. But so let's dive straight in. You've had an extraordinary journey through life itself, through business itself, but more specifically, just over these last 12, 18 months or so, from looking at life and business from a completely different perspective. Can you just give us like a snippet to ground everybody in where we're going with that story today?
Certainly. I would say that 18 months ago, I was subscribing to the belief that there was something that was broken in me, some fundamental flaw that was in need of fixing. I hear that word a lot, fix, you got to get fixed,
Yeah.
Fix that. And over the course of the last, we'll call it 18 months, I've really come to accepting my flaws and understanding that I'm fine the way that I am and that I'm empowered to live the life that I want to live, and that there's no external validation or there's no magic potion that's needed. I'm good enough.
I love it. And so when you're talking about the life that you're living, can you give us a little bit of a snippet? So what is your business and your personal life? What does that look like? And then we'll tell everybody share a little bit of your journey to how you got to today.
Sure thing. A snapshot of life today is I live on a 12.5 acre budding, we'll call it a farmstead, where we do gardening, animal husbandry, working on sustainability factors like geothermal and solar, to be more sustainable and off-grid in the future that we want to live.
And it's also really pretty.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is, because the way you were describing it just was like, yeah, okay, it's a farm and it's got this place is stunning. Please continue.
Yes, covered in amazing natural resources on a regular basis that fill my heart with awe. So there's rarely a day that goes by when we don't see wild deer and turkey, towering 120-foot walnuts, just two creeks that run through the property. I have the lucky fortune to be able to speak to water and wind and fire on a regular basis. Absolutely wonderfully open, natural beauty surrounded all the time. And this is in pretty stark contrast to where I was living before. In the late 90s, I relocated back to South Florida to care for some family members. And when I say South Florida, I mean the county or two north of Miami. And if anybody's familiar with that area, I've known the area for a long time. I grew up there, and when I grew up there were still some pretty wild places, but it's really become almost all urban and almost all suburban. So even though I was able to sneak away on my boat or get out to the Everglades, it was still pretty hard not to see a lot of concrete. Um, so my business was, I'm originally a culinarian. I'm a classically trained French chef. I worked in restaurants and in hospitality. I really had a lot of fun there until I didn't. I made a miraculous jump when I moved back to South Florida. I was a budding technologist, and I got a job working at the help desk for an up and coming kind of .com bubble company. And I got training on this wonderful new tool that very few people had heard of, and it was called Microsoft SQL Server.
Yeah. Well, you're taking us way back. Yes, this is like a do time.
Yeah, that was the Twilight Zone. um, and that technology turned into a big deal, and a lot of people started turning toward that technology because the other options were at the time were Oracle and IBM DB2 and things that, I mean, you could do Sybase, and we don't have to get into those nerdy details. But the Microsoft world really exploded, and I was able to meet a lot of really wonderful people and build a tremendous skill set. And before long, I was consulting on my own. I had the unbelievable privilege to co-author a book with a friend of mine, Jeffrey Shapiro, SQL Server 2005, The Complete Reference. And I was on my way. And along the way, I bumped into a dear friend. I met and made a dear friend, and we decided to start a business together. And that business was Leo Solutions, and we were a technology consulting firm. So we built websites and mobile apps and web apps and just all kinds of wonderful stuff on the bleeding edge of technology. But in the background, kind of in this, I had this gnawing desire that I would constantly kind of bump backward or put on the shelf or say, oh, there'll be time for that in the future. And that desire was something with plants and with food and with growing and cultivation. And I just had this deep desire to be closer to what I just call it dirt.
Yeah.
Get my hands in dirt. And in the area of the country that I was and the way that everything was set up, there were limited options for that. And then this wonderful event transpired. Fast forward a few years, and COVID happened. And COVID was something that I did not anticipate. And I had this kind of big ego, thinking that I had the world by the tail a little bit. And I felt pretty humbled. And at the same time, it caused a little bit of disruption in my business. And I was very ambitious in the way that I was building and running multiple businesses. So I have older children, and I have a young son as well. So my older children were in college at the time, and I started a vending business as well. And we grew that business. So we were managing about 50 vending machines, with the vast majority of them in office buildings. And all of it kind of came to a screeching halt at the same time. And I really thought, okay, I had messed up and there must be something wrong with me and I need to get it fixed, and bought into that narrative. And when that happened, and I was kind of at a low spot, this miraculously wonderful thing that hasn't been mentioned yet and needs to right now, my absolutely wonderful partner, my wife, the love of my life. She's been at my side for 31 years plus now. We sat down and we had a conversation about, okay, what do we really, truly want our lives to be? What do we want life to look like? And we went into detail on the things that were important to us and whether or not we wanted to be in the city or the country, and who we wanted to be near, and the things that we wanted to do on a regular basis. And Well, the universe was benevolent and kind and loving and caring as it always is, and it helped pave the path for me to get the things that were truly in my heart. And here we are, uh, on acreage in, of all places, southern central Michigan, in a wonderful community. But like I said, with homesteading and gorgeous nature abound, and a wonderful family and family life.
But I
Yeah.
might add as well, though, Steve, you haven't left tech behind because you also have an AI technology business.
So I I'm a when I was a kid, um, I was the kid I would take apart toasters and radios. I was always curious about how things work, and um, I I would I would figure out how to get things to work, and I always loved a challenge. And the technology space has always been challenging for me because there's a new frontier. It feels like every day there's a new update or a new piece of software or a new breakthrough. And AI exemplifies that in the largest way. It's the most exciting thing in technology that I've been a part of in a long time. And understanding how it works, seeing the future, the profound impact that it can have in a positive way, really, really drew me into kind of a revitalization of being involved in tech. So yeah, absolutely. Now, there is a bit of a dichotomy there because,
You think?
well, um, we're, we're adopting an apple orchard as we speak.
That's right.
Again, hands in dirt and feeling the earth and identifying the relationship that we have with the earth and the things around us that are real, that are tangible, right? I mean, so much of technology is this intangible, you can't stub your toe on it. You can't touch software. And I think that's a big part of why I had this longing to get back to the real world, and walking the path between the two of them sometimes can be challenging and sometimes it can be fun. And it's amazing the things that I've learned about tech from gardening, and it's amazing the things that I learn about gardening from tech. It's life is so much fun. It's silly.
And let's dive a little into your internal journey on this, though, because you and I have worked together for some time now, and I just have to say the change in just the way you show up in the world and the lightness and the brightness of your spirit is phenomenal now compared to some time ago. So for people who are looking to begin to make some sort of an internal change, to be more, I guess I'd call it, aligned to their higher self and to that joy and that love and that abundance within, but in a way that makes their bank account happy as well. Like that's actually a quote on my website. That's, what is it? Success today isn't about doing more and being more and having more and more and more. It's about doing what makes your heart sing in a way that makes your bank account happy as well. So can you talk us through your most recent journey on that? Like, what were some of the catalysts? Give us a bridge between then and now.
Absolutely. So one of the maybe the largest defining moment for me, early on, and I had heard this, and I don't know if I believed it in my heart, but as you and I started to work together, I saw it, I felt it, I trusted it, and it's made an unbelievable impact in my life. And that is that a lot of my decisions in the past were based on fear or lack. I would focus on, I desire an outcome or I desire something. And then I would put a caveat on it, meaning I would say, I want this outcome because I don't want that to happen.
Exactly. So it was actually more of a focus on what you didn't want. And it's
Yeah.
interesting, just earlier today, I was having a conversation with somebody else about exactly the same thing. And even just a little tip on that as an aside, that's something that I now do every single day. I catch myself at least once every day and just ask at that random moment in time, is what I'm thinking or saying or doing what I want? Or am I thinking or saying or doing what I don't want in order to get what I want?
Absolutely. Making the mental shift, making the the shift inside of my heart to act out of love rather than fear, to act out of inspiration rather than fear, and to really, for me, so things have been pretty fast paced in my life for a long time. Um, my wife and I had children, our first two, very young, and we came from modest backgrounds. I think that's being kind. And we felt this, right? There was this urgency and this desire to achieve and to improve our situations in life. And the excuse was always do better, be better, get out in front, continue, grind. And that continued for a long time. And by allowing myself to slow down, to think through, why am I acting this way? What is my true motivation? Am I doing this out of obligation? Am I doing this out of inspiration? And making the transition to whether it's the decisions that I make in business, my personal life, what my future looks like, to do it from a place of inspiration and from a place of love. Now, I got lots of love in my heart, and I always have, but that doesn't mean that I was driving my actions from that. And now I've made that shift. You and I talked about it very early on, and it was commit, trust, and receive. And by having clarity and by moving from a place of inspiration and love, I feel amazing about where I'm at, the direction of that I'm going, how I'm interacting with other people. You said it as well, how I'm showing up in the world. I just had an amazing life event. My middle son just got married. We just had the wedding, and the people, the interaction, all of it was just amazingly wonderful. And it came from a place in my heart that just a few short months ago I didn't know existed. And it's really, life's pretty wonderful.
I love that. And yeah, the commit, trust, receive is, it's essentially from Psalm 37:5, but it doesn't matter whether or not you're not a spiritual person. It still applies from a physics, quantum physics type perspective. Doesn't matter how you look at it. That's really the essence of it. Decide what you want, commit to that, trust in it, and be open to receiving it. And speaking about being open, this is a question that I have for you, for particularly with regard to people and alpha males. And a friend of mine says, you're sexist. You make differentiations between males and females. Yes, I do. And I proudly own it. Get over it. So, but particularly for alpha males, when you're having somebody challenge you the way that you and I work together, what are some tips that you have for particularly some alpha males out there, and especially those who are looking to shift gears from one to another?
the place that I'll start with that, and my macho ego just propped up and said, "Well, thank you for considering me an alpha male."
You're very welcome, sir.
Um, yeah, it takes for some people it takes time. For some people they get it right away. The first step, take the immediate first step to listen to your heart. There were things that I had to essentially not unlearn, but I had to let go of because they were not serving me anymore. They were not helping me to live the life that I want to live. They were, again, it goes back to the idea of I'm going to act this way because I don't want that to happen. And that is just destructive. That's not helping me with my goals, my dreams, the life that I want to live. And the other big thing that I've learned in working with you and has really, I think it ties in here, is take the first step and then take the next logical step and
Yeah.
continue to walk the path, because the most important thing that I've learned, maybe the most important thing that I've learned, is the power of momentum.
I love that word. That's one of my favorite words, by the way.
Absolutely. The ability to be consistent, continue to walk that path. And I found that there have been many times for me personally where I felt an amazing resistance. And it's something I've talked about before, wherein, it's a Tuesday, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and I've lived the entrepreneurial lifestyle. I've been completely, you know, self-reliant for 21, going on 21 years now. It's a Tuesday, it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and I've got this itch to go and ask for status, or go work on this, or go do that, or go jump on some new project, or go tweak something that's already working just fine. And I had to allow myself the space to say, wait a minute, there's other places where I can build momentum that will help me on my journey, on my goals, on my dreams, on the life that I want. It doesn't have to be a grind for the technology business. And it's okay to take an afternoon off, or to go talk to fire or water, or meditate or read, or whatever inspired me at that moment. That's absolutely okay. And I think for a lot of people, at least it was for me, I had to kind of unwire that. I had to say, okay, you don't have to grind, and you can build momentum in a peaceful life.
Exactly, because we're talking about inspired action here. And it's interesting. I often do these sorts of personal deep dives in different areas of my own life. And a few weeks ago, and you and I spoke about this, a few weeks ago, I went through the thought process of, there's the phrase be like water. And people say, oh, yes, fine, be like water and contemplate your navel, and isn't the world wonderful? But then I went, oh, okay, how does water achieve? And when you think about it, water can achieve some pretty massive stuff. I mean, look at the weathering on the Sphinx. And let's not get into the whole debate about how old the Sphinx is, but look at the weathering on the Sphinx. Look at the Grand Canyon. Water can certainly achieve, but it does it through relentless persistence with grace and ease. It doesn't. It can certainly achieve things as a tsunami, but it can leave chaos in its wake. But with this beautiful, just relentless persistence, you get momentum flowing. And that's a really fabulous space.
Yeah. It's funny how, not funny, it's beautiful how the universe understands what I need and brings things to my attention as appropriate. And not too long after we were talking about this, I saw just an absolutely beautiful quote come across that says, when you feel stagnant, speak to water. It will teach you about movement and flow. And it's amazing how, in my life, simple things like going and speaking to the creek in my backyard, or going and speaking to air when I'm confused to get clarity. This is the wisdom of the ancients. This has been around for who knows how long. And it's a beautiful exercise in slowing down and having those conversations, in having meaningful conversation with myself, with the universe, with water, with flow, and getting clarity and feeling great about the steps forward and moving again in inspiration and moving in love rather than, oh, I got to hurry up and do this because of problem A, B, or C that my imagination just manufactured.
Exactly. Focusing on what you want. And as with water, if water doesn't move, if water doesn't get any momentum, water stagnates. And that's not what we want. We love beautiful flowing life. So, Mr. Bowman, I think that's a lovely place to leave our discussion. If there's one extra final tip that you would like to leave, what would it be?
Trust. I think all of us at some point in time have heard that voice in your head, that feeling in your heart, that tingle in your gut, maybe a combination of all three. Trust that voice. There's something there. If you're well in tune with it, congratulations. Still trust it, because the world will bring the chaos and doubt and fear and heap it on. But you know what to do. You know what's best. You know what direction you need to go. Listen for it, trust it, and move in an inspired way.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, my dear friend, for being on this wonderful part of this journey with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely enjoy and adore our conversations and talks and your guidance, and thank you.
Back at you. Thanks.
Oh, hey there, friend, it's time to start a little chat, a work of art. Grab your coffee, lend your ear. The podcast fun is finally here.